Welcome to the Darkstream, VoxDay, voxday.blogspot.com, and unauthorized.tv. Tonight, we're going to talk about the art of managing gammas and ankle biters. And it is an art. It's definitely not a science. Welcome to the reprehensibles. Welcome to the unauthorized, to the VFM, to the dread ilk, and of course, to the bears. So who can tell me what is significant about today? Who can tell me what significant month-long anniversary it is today? I'll be very interested to see if anyone can identify it. And actually, it is the 1 month anniversary of the existence of unauthorized.tv. And it's been kind of an amazing launch because we were not planning to launch it. We were not planning to even have it launched now. Stranger danger got it. And so I want to thank you, all of you who are subscribing to it, for your support. Today was the first day of the new month. And so a lot of the subscribers just received their, they just got pinged again for their Feed the Bear subscription or their basic or their premium subscription. And we were really happy to see that only 30 people out of 977 didn't choose to re-up. And so, because of the way that new subscribers are literally coming in every day, we've already replaced 1/3 of them today. And there's an incredible amount of content up there because, we're putting nearly 5 hours of content up there every day. 1 hour from me, 2 to 3 hours from Big Bear, an hour here and there from David the Good. And, we've got Barcelona Life that's gotten rolling. And we're going to have, we're going to have a lot of other new stuff coming online as well. And we haven't, what do you call it? The survivalist guys, they haven't really gotten rolling yet, and they're going to in May. So, and we also have a couple other programs, kind of like Barcelona Life, that we're planning on bringing on. Some of which will be, once a week. Others are going to be more often. Roy Bear says, too much content for working class bears to keep up with. Well, that's the idea. We don't expect anybody to watch all this stuff. I certainly don't. And I wouldn't expect anyone to, because there's different interests. I understand that some of you aren't interested in Barcelona Life. That's okay. Some of my followers are not interested in Owen. A lot of Owen's viewers are not interested in mine. That's okay. That's just fine. Do you watch every single ABC television show? Even if you do watch mainstream TV? Of course not. So, see, this is what we really like to see. John Galt A57 says, hey, Vox, just canceled my Amazon Prime subscription going on unauthorized TV next month. That is how we will win. You know, we've got something like, we've got more than 2,500 subscribers already, which is great. But, that's still less than the 3,000 members that Owen had leading up to this. And so we're just getting started. We're just scratching the surface of what's going on, and it's going to improve. No, Deeps 1X Dank says, "Oh, it's not free." No, most of the content is free. The vast majority of the content is free. You can watch literally hours of free content there. This Darkstream is going to be on there for free. I mean, I guarantee you that you couldn't watch all the free content. You literally could not watch all the free content that is now on unauthorized TV in a week. You just couldn't. So, and then there is we have a very small amount right now, a very small amount of premium content that you actually have to pay to see. And there will be more, but our goal is to, listen to the subscribers. Right now, the subscribers have made it very clear that they don't care about the content being limited to them. They're mostly subscribing in order to support us, to support what we're doing. And we've talked about this. In fact, I was talking about it with one of the corporate guys just today, and he said, we really need to get more paywalled stuff up there. I said, why? He said, well, to encourage people to subscribe. I said, people are subscribing like crazy. They're subscribing because they love Owen. They're subscribing because they love David. They're subscribing because they like what I'm doing. We don't need to force anybody to do anything. Yes, it's good for us to have some special premium content up there just to make it clear that we appreciate the subscribers. But we understand, and most of you have made it very, very clear that you would like to keep a lot of this stuff as accessible as possible. And so we're listening. If we get to the point where a lot of the subscribers say, hey, we're paying for this stuff. Why should we be subsidizing so much of it for people who are not pulling their weight? We will listen. We will absolutely listen. I think there will eventually be some sort of crypto stuff. Bolt, I don't, what's the best way to put this? I believe that loyalty has to run both ways. Even if I am constitutionally challenged when it comes to caring what other people think, I believe that it is extremely important to show loyalty to those who show loyalty to you. Now, the fact that that's an intellectual exercise for me rather than an emotional one doesn't make it any less serious. It doesn't make the commitment any less serious. In some ways, it makes it more reliable. So, Jilly Bear says, I'm more than pleased with UTV content. I'm very happy about that. Any update on Shapiro retracting his white supremacist comments? No, we haven't done anything about that. We are insanely busy with with all the Indiegogo stuff. And as you know, Owen got paid belatedly by Google, and as you might expect, some of the guys were involved with that. And so, I mean, we also have this new project that I've mentioned to you, the really expensive new project that is going to be announced publicly in early May. And so, in fact, that's what I was actually doing this afternoon was I had to take a break from the Indiegogo stuff to meet with a lot of the same guys about the big project. So it's going to be it's going to be important to just maintain the momentum, to continue to demonstrate to people that we will deliver what we say, and that we will continue to improve. The Dashing Rogue says or asks, can you speak to Jan Irving about Jordan B. Peterson? When I gave your book to JBP, I included his article about gatekeeping MK Ultra in academia. I think you might benefit. Well, I think that someone like him is going to see right through the guy in the first place. This is funny. Constantine says, I discovered Vox through Goodreads. Every review on A Throne of Bones was calling you a racist pig. I knew then that you were someone worth looking into. Yeah, I don't think that they understand how much their piling on tends to backfire. Michael Brown says, not even freemium, but supported in order to influence society and create the future for our children. We are outsourcing this work because we all have other work to do. We support each other. It's true. And that's why I listen to you guys about what you say we should be doing or what you think we should be doing. I'm very seldom going to say, oh yes, we must drop all 37 of our projects and focus on this one crazy idea that none of us has ever thought before, but has been so generously shared with us. But the thing is, we do listen because I think it's important. You can't make decisions based on what people tell you their opinions are. And in fact, that gets to the subject that I intended to discuss tonight, which is managing gammas and ankle biters. And what I wanted to address was a question or a point that somebody raised that I felt was not merely unfair and inaccurate, but indicated a complete failure to understand what people like Owen and I, and frankly, just about anybody who's in the public eye at all, has to deal with, especially women. Last night I made a comment about how if a commenter shows up here, if a viewer shows up here and attempts to sit in judgment of me, or who claims to be observing me, I said that you're going to be banned immediately because I am not here to be judged by you. And they took this to be some sort of they took this to be indicative of being extremely thin-skinned, which is hugely ironic, because if you think about it, how can I possibly do what I do and have a thin skin when I am constantly, literally every day, being attacked and called names? It doesn't matter whether it's somebody public and reasonably well known like Ben Shapiro. It doesn't matter if it's the newspapers in London or in New Zealand, or just random people on the internet who swing by YouTube and want to take a shot. Obviously, I don't have a thin skin. Think about this. I haven't even gotten around to addressing Ben Shapiro's white supremacist defamation, because it's not the priority. It's something that I need to do. Oh, hey, that's cool. Somebody just said they just picked up a annual subscription. Wyman Taylor. Oh, which, by the way, Wyman, I need to get in touch with you in the next week here. But anyhow, he says he just got an annual subscription for Unauthorized TV. Thanks for putting this together, Vox. You're very welcome, and thanks for the strong support. Okay, I can't really argue with this. Make Baumler says, I've observed you, Vox, and I've come to the conclusion that you have a dislike towards gammas. I do. I mean, I have to admit I do. But what I will submit to you all is that this is a dislike that comes of a lot of experience. A lot of experience. And so, and what I mentioned in the what I mentioned in my response to this comment, and maybe a few of you saw it. I'm guessing most of you didn't. That's why I decided that it's worth addressing. Is that when a gamma shows up somewhere, whether he shows up here on YouTube or on a blog, his primary goal is to make the discussion about himself. You will see this time and time and time and time and time and time again. I have seen this hundreds of times. Because what happens is they'll come in and they'll make a statement about you. They'll make they'll provide a criticism, and usually it will be something about your motivation. It'll be something about what you really think, who you really are. And so if you're the target of that, it's nonsense. If you know yourself at all, then it's nonsense. And what the gamma wants you to do is he wants you to argue with him. Because arguing with him means that he has now been elevated beyond all the other commenters, and you're addressing him, and he has the opportunity to beat you. He has the opportunity to put you down. And think about this. What is the ultimate goal of every gamma? What is the big victory that you see many times on television and in movies and so forth? Their big goal is the mic drop. What they want to do is they want to say something that is so stunningly witty, so amazingly cutting, so brilliantly and decisively sharp that it makes you feel bad and you can't respond to it. That's their goal. And so what they're trying to do is they're trying to push your button to get you to respond so that you engage, you raise them above all the other commenters. They're now your equal. And then they defeat you in front of everyone. And you slink away, and Secret King wins again. This is the repetitive behavior. Remember, all of these things, all of these patterns are, all of these sociosexual ranks primarily revolve around the patterns of behavior they represent. And so when I say that somebody is a gamma, I mean they're exhibiting behavior that fits that pattern. And so that's what I'm stopping when a gamma comes in. It's not because of my thin skin. It's because I don't want to go through that process again. I have been through this process many, many times. Reluctant Messiah puts it well. He says, gammas, I want a conversation about why I'm right. I want a study to show why I'm right. Exactly. It's all about this. Ferdinand der Gütige says, but why? Because they are constantly in torment over their low social status. They hate above all, they fear above all being excluded. Why would a gamma consider himself a secret king? Because gammas erect this delusion bubble. They blow this huge delusion bubble around themselves. And it's there to protect their ego. And so, I'll give you the classic description of the gamma is the science fiction writer John Scalzi. I don't pay much attention to him anymore, but back in the day, there was a lot of back and forth between us. It initially was him constantly taking shots at me, and then as he became more successful, he started making them a lot more sly. So I just started pounding on him directly. That was when I was beginning to understand how gammas operated. But someone wrote a little vignette about what they thought Scalzi would be like in high school. And that was where the secret king concept first was developed. Because they were saying, can you imagine what Scalzi would have been like in high school? And he's in the locker room and he's making some stupid, snarky comments about the jocks. And so one of the alphas or one of the bravos, picks him up and gives him a wedgie and hangs him from his locker. He's suspended with this massive wedgie hanging from his underwear from the locker, and everybody laughs at him and walks away. And Scalzi, yells after them, "Ha ha! Joke's on you! You just got me off." And the thing is, you could absolutely picture the guy trying to do that. Whatever happens, no matter how awful it is, no matter how humiliating it is, they're always going to claim that means they won. If you want to know what the key phrase of the gamma is, the cry of the gamma is, that just means, somebody else once said, the gamma was the kid in your neighborhood who, when you were playing Cowboys and Indians or whatever the politically correct version of that is now, you ran up to him and, blam, blam, I got you. And he shouts, I'm wearing an invisible rubber cape and they bounced off and hit you. That's the essence of gamma. I started reading the stories about Basil and Josephine that you mentioned a while ago. Although Basil Lee is a gamma, he is a much superior stock than the gamma breeds we have today. Yes, that's exactly right. Warren Your Mind says, Vox, when you describe the gamma, you are describing me and you're indirectly letting me know what I need to work on. That's good. If you can hear that and say, that's me. I shouldn't do that. I'm going to improve myself. You're going to make a better life for yourself. I guarantee it. Women will like you better. Men will respect you more. It doesn't mean you're going to turn into Donald Trump, or, find yourself beating off Dallas Cowboy cheerleaders with a stick, but you're going to improve your life. He thinks he's Tyler Durden, enjoying his beatdown. Yeah, exactly. What they're referring to there, in case you didn't catch my stream on Fight Club, all of Fight Club is a homosexual metaphor for, let's just say, gay club life. It's not about fighting at all. Talios Hammerfist said, this stream is exactly what I and so many others needed to hear, especially regarding work environments. We're more thankful than you know. I appreciate that. I have no doubt. It still seems a bit surreal at times. Last night, there were 1,700 people watching concurrently at one point. Yeah, it's not Big Bear territory, but it's not bad. And it occurred to me that I have never, ever spoken in front of 1,700 people before. I've never spoken in front of 1,000. And so it was really interesting to see that. When will there be a download and watch later on unauthorized? We actually have the ability to offer that now. We haven't, I guess it never occurred to me to tell the guys who are doing the uploading to check the download box. What I'd like to do is I'd like to, that's the kind of thing that I would like to make available only to the subscribers. And so I'm planning on having a conversation with the tech people soon, and we're talking about some of the things that we want to see there. But I'm not going to have too detailed a conversation with them until May, because I know they have a big update coming out, and that's when we're going to be able to stream directly from unauthorized, complete with chatting. So that's when things could get very interesting, because I know that Owen is planning on moving over there entirely. I think he'll probably dual stream, but the chats will be on unauthorized. I'll probably leave it here for now, because we want to continue building up my YouTube base as well. But we'll see. And of course, we never know when YouTube is going to do something. And that's why unauthorized was created in the first place. So, anyhow, Chris Manelt said that locker punchline was the funniest thing I've heard all week. Owen's going to have to up his game. Actually, I toned it down a little bit. It was actually probably funnier the way that it was actually told, but we'd like to keep it clean here. I've been told that there's, or at least as clean as possible, I should say. Ghost Bear says, Vox, a question for you. I have a little brother-in-law, 13, who's growing up to be a gamma. Is there any way I can help him avoid that fate? It is difficult because he's adopted with fetal alcohol. I think that perhaps taking an explanatory approach to him might be the best approach. Talking to him about, hey, is the way that you're doing things working? Isn't the definition of insanity doing the same thing over and over again? That's kind of like the carrot saying, you don't have to do things that way. There's a better way to do things. But then also offer the stick. Call him out whenever he lies. Point out to him that nobody believes it. You're not. I mean, one of the not massively effective but moderately effective phrases that you can use with the gammas is say, do you understand you're not fooling me? Do you understand you're not fooling anyone? I understand that you're keeping up this false front. But and I know it's not real. So why don't you stop doing that? Yeah, getting them off social media is probably a good idea too, if possible. Cordell Mitchell says, what are some tips for staying motivated and going to the gym or being disciplined in general? I never had any problem being motivated going to the gym because that's where the gym bunnies are. I mean, why? I'm probably the wrong person to ask because I don't know why anyone wouldn't want to go to the gym every day just for the eye candy, if nothing else. Also, the key is you need to work out long enough and regularly enough that you start to get addicted to the endorphin release. For me, it became so automatic that one day when I decided that I didn't have that much sleep and I felt like I might be coming down with something, I thought, okay, I can't lift today. I'm not going to lift today. And so I drove home, or so I thought, and I didn't realize that I had gone to the club until I'd already parked and gotten out of the car and was walking up, towards the gym, towards the Northwest Club, despite the fact that I'd specifically decided not to go there. That's when you've really made it a habit. Are the White Walkers the metaphor for the end of the West? I don't know, blue-eyed devils. Let's see. It's really hard to get them to realize, let alone admit to you of your adherence to realism and what is objective unless you're almost rhetorical. Okay. AM Sirius says, this guy hasn't been to a gym in his life. Dude, I was benching 325 and I weighed 175 at the time. I still weigh 175 now. I don't bench 325 these days, but I still bench a lot more than you do. Once I got serious about, playing on the wing, I had to, drop about 5 kilos because just carting it up and down the field was way too much. Anon says, talk about ankle biters. I can't even ban that guy. I mean, that was just so perfect. It's always, it's kind of funny. I talk about things like, people don't seem to realize it, but, you know, I spent 2 years as a NCAA Division I varsity sprinter. Um, you know, I'm 50 years old. And so it's a little bit strange when people will say things about like, you know, you're fat or, you know, that sort of thing. It's like, what planet are you living on? I mean, I understand that you can't actually see what I look like. And I have no interest whatsoever in, you know, doing anything or proving otherwise. But, you know, I mean, what was it? You know, I've, I'm in, got this big, long walking leg brace, for my knee right now. So I haven't been going to the gym in the last week, but, you know, my first set of pull-ups now is, 12 behind the head. I usually do like what did I do last time? I think it was like 12, 10, 8, something like that. No, I am not, I'm not the creeper at the gym. You know, my wife works out there. I know everybody there. So, Defiance Bear says, trying to place a man who is ostensibly asexual or closet gay in the hierarchy. Is that possible? Sure. I mean, he's probably going to be gamma or omega, but you know, he could theoretically be delta. The gamma cloak of competence confidence reminds me of kids with developmental disabilities who are too low functioning to understand how ridiculous their lives appear to everybody else. That's true. No, Marie, it is never gun show time. In fact, one of Space Bunny's favorite things when I say that I'm, you know, going to do a Darkstream is she's like, okay, have fun webcamming. Keep your clothes on. So, she has a very different perspective on the Darkstream, I think. PD says, I've sent your video on gammas to all my gamma friends. For some strange reason, they are not answering me back. Huh. Interesting. Dorota said, Vox, first time I heard you speak, you were talking about how physically fit you were. I thought you were a gamma. Look, I mean, I'm right now I'm not feeling very physically fit. 2 weeks of having your leg in a brace will do that to you. But anyhow, but I mean, the thing is that people don't seem to understand that people who work out and people who are fit, that's what they talk about all the time. I mean, you know, some of my friends at the gym literally talk about nothing but carbo loading or protein shakes or, you know, high protein diets, and, you know, various theories of weightlifting. That's literally all they talk about. And so, no, I'm extremely fortunate. I mean, I'm really irritated about, this knee injury. Hopefully it's going to turn out to be, you know, just a minor hyperextension. And, you know, there's a good chance that that's the case. But, you know, I'm very fortunate to be 50 and still able to play. I mean, you know, I was at my team's game, and, you know, it was really frustrating because we lost to the worst team in the league, a team that we've never lost to before. And we basically lost. I mean, one of the reasons we lost is because I wasn't playing. So it's kind of like, it was nice to realize that you're needed. The the captain at one point said, he looked over at me because we were really struggling on the right wing. The guy who usually plays behind me on the right wing, he was just worn out. They had plenty of substitutes, and he's probably 5 years older than any of the guys he was going up against. And so in the second half, he was just toast. And the captain looked over at me and said, just as a joke, he said, "You sure you can't go in?" And one of the other guys said, I think at this point, Vox would be the better op. Even with the cast or whatever on, Vox would be the better option at this point, because the poor guy was just done. He was doing the best he could, but and sure enough, both the attacks went down that side, and that's where they got their 2 goals. So I'm very fortunate that I can still play at my age. I'm one of the oldest guys in the league. And so that's why I really appreciate, even every practice, every game, so, hey, we got another ankle biter. This is so high schoolish. Life is high schoolish. Look it up. Do you think that hierarchy goes away? Do you think it just stops? See, the big dream of the young Gamma is that at the next level, it's all going to stop. And he's not going to be on the bottom of the totem pole anymore. And that's why Gammas tend to be so bitter or delusional, or sometimes both, is because they keep hoping against hope that the world is magically going to change. And it's not. And so that's why, if you're going to deal with them, you have to understand where they're coming from. And you have to call them on it, and you have to not accept their constant sniping and snapping and ankle biting. That's why it's very important, that when it comes down to it, what's the correct way to deal with an ankle biter? You kick it right in front of everybody, and so it's, now some people, like when we talk about the whole glory days thing and stuff, and people trying to hold on to their, to their high school glory days or whatever, what's really happening there is people who were at the top of the totem pole, now they're in a bigger pond and they've slid down a bit. The high school alpha who finds himself in a situation where, he's just a delta. Though that's a difference. I mean, that's the situation that we're talking about. But the hierarchy is still there. It's just that it doesn't. It may have changed in terms of what is considered high status or not. What about a Gamma boss and managing up? Then all you need to do is flatter them and play along with their delusions, and they will cling to you. I mean, that's one of the things that's hard about being nice to Gammas. That's why every girl is terrified to even smile at a Gamma, because they will, glom onto you in a heartbeat. Normally, that's something that you want to avoid. I mean, think about this. There's a famous look up the video or the picture of John Scalzi greeting Neil Gaiman at a science fiction convention. Gaiman barely knew him. And Scalzi goes running up to him on the stage and literally leaps into his arms. Because it's funny, right? It's all funny. Ha ha ha. Except he was really doing it because he wanted to show everybody what great pals he and Neil Gaiman were. Now, Gaiman was a pretty good sport about it. He didn't hurl Scalzi to the ground and kick him in the head like, other people might have done. But that is a metaphor for what gammas do to higher status people or women who flatter them and play along with their delusions and recognize their secret king status. Harble99 says, I think I broke something cringing vicariously. Yeah. Deeps1xdank says, you either fear Vox or you don't know him. It was kind of funny. That Rolling Stone reporter who did the hit piece on Chuck Dixon and I with NPR. One thing that's too bad that she didn't put in her interview, because it would have made it a lot more interesting, even if it was spun in the worst possible way, the most evil possible way. But she was asking me about some of our future plans, and I mentioned one of the things that we were planning on doing. And it was kind of funny because she looked at me in horror and said, you are the Dark Lord. So it was kind of funny to actually get that from someone who's very much on the other side and doesn't like me at all. Horatio says, either gammas dominate chats and comment sections just online, or the population of gammas is a much higher percentage than anyone realizes. Well, I think it's a little of both. I mean, alphas and bravos, and to a lesser extent deltas, are, much more. They're busy, chasing girls. They're not. They're not. I mean, I guarantee you, when I was 21, I was not sitting here at 1 a.m. talking on the computer. Whereas we had one friend who, it seemed astonishing at the time, but he was always on the bulletin boards, always on the BBSs and stuff. And then one day, somebody tried to save something to his hard drive, and it was completely full of Japanese porn. So let me go and do the super chats now, because I need to get going here. Okay. I'm trying to find. Okay, here we go. Joshua Clark asks, any plans for a conversation with Jay Dyer about orthodoxy? I do plan to talk to Jay Dyer sometime. I don't know what about. I don't know that. I mean, I have nothing to tell him about orthodoxy. I mean, he's probably got a lot he can tell me. I'm not sure how interesting an hour of me doing that would be, but Testicular Tactics said, my Chiefs beat your Vikings in Super Bowl 4. Mwah ha 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 ha. Yeah, I got no comeback. Nathan Heim said, you're freaking rad, my dude. Love your streams. I'm delighted to hear it. I am certainly radical. It's kind of funny, people. I was actually on a list at one point of, the top 50 conservatives on the internet, and I kept telling people, I'm not a conservative. I'm not a conservative. Now, of course, all the conservatives consider me this horrible extremist, and they're not so keen to put me on their top 50 conservative lists, I guess, but, that's okay. Christopher G. said, Bruce Banner turned into the Hulk after he overly prescribed himself gamma radiation. Gamma wish fulfillment fantasy? Only if time is somehow related in a complicated manner that we don't understand. Given that I didn't coin the term until 3 years ago. But maybe I subconsciously got it from there. I don't know. The Dashing Rogue, we mentioned Jan Irving. Bavarian Viking Bear says, observing observations about observations of observations. I would observe that the observations we're observing about observations of observations are actually better than the observations that were being observed about observations of observations 1,000 years ago. But I think it's good that we are observing these observations about observations we observe about observations of observations. Just making fun of Sam Harris and Ben Shapiro there in case you didn't understand that. Freedom Reward says, a little confused about the book club. I ordered the C.S. Lewis collection from Castalia. Awesome. How and where will the discussion take place? Right here. Well, actually, possibly not right here because it might also take place somewhere else, but it will take place on the Darkstream. So just stay tuned. Read Mere Christianity, the prologue. We're going to get started relatively soon. Talios Hammerfist says, have $1. Thank you, Talios. The Dashing Rogue says, do you think modern schools make gammas vox? I think they help, but I think that domineering mothers and gamma fathers are more likely to produce them. The schools don't help, but I don't think it's primarily the schools. Talios Hammerfist says, this stream is exactly what I and so many others needed to hear, especially... Oh, we did that one. Okay, cool. Yeah, I'm really looking forward to writing Corporate Cancer, but I can't do it right now because, the whole thing with Indiegogo is going to be part of that. So that's going to take a while. We talked about the download, and Ganji Blob Flanka says, ability to download will get my patronage. Okay, well, we've got it there. We just need to, like I said, we need to just make a decision. No, Silver Sister, I am not the creeper in the gym. I just like attractive women, and they tend to like me. Defiant Bear says, trying to place a man who is... Okay, we did that one. Prince Aspel Archive says, have $2. Thank you. Mark says, how do gammas act in the workplace? Exactly the way that they do in every other environment. But their subject matter expertise can actually be useful. Harble99 says, Space Bunny gives the best negs. Vox, a Twitch thought. Mark says, buy a vino on me. I will absolutely do so. I will even do a wine stream in the relatively near future. Silver said, what would the world be without gammas, Vox? Probably more pleasant. Should they even exist? They do. We have to deal with it. Kicking them is a good idea, but should we seriously hurt them? No, I don't think so. I think we want to help them improve. We don't want to, mistreat them. Mistreatment is something that helps produce gammas. Christopher G says, do you have any opinion on the future of animation? Traditional animation is maintaining in the East, but the West seems to be losing its artistic personality with the transition to CG. That's partly true, but it's not just technological, it's also spiritual. The more that you move away from the good, the beautiful, and the true, the less you can produce anything, any form of art, even lower forms of art like animation. Boingo Bear says, I'd like to know more about Sigma if possible. Thank you, sir. We'll be doing a Voxiversity on it reasonably soon. Hans says, hello, Vox. I enjoy your work. I'm a Gamma working on becoming a Delta. I have a question. How do I tell the difference between wanting to always be right in an argument or actually defending myself in a debate? Do you concede the points that your opponent makes that are correct? Do you admit when you are wrong? If you don't do those two things, then you're just insisting that you're always right. That never happens to anyone. I am vastly more intelligent than most of the people that I get into discussions with, and I am still wrong from time to time. Everyone is wrong from time to time. So if you can't specify exactly when you're wrong, if you go silent when your opponent says something that you know is right, then you know that you are falling on the side of wanting to always be right. When you talk about defending myself in a debate, you kind of give away your Gamma instincts there. Why do you have to? You're not defending yourself in a debate. It's not about you. There's part of your problem right there. You think the debate is about you. Debates are about ideas. So, I don't know if that helps, but perhaps it will. Thoughts on Gnosticism? It's been nonsense for 2,000 years, and I'm sure it'll be nonsense for 2,000 more. The shrubbery salesman says, your hypothesis about Gamma fathers is 100% correct because I am a recovering Gamma. Thank you for making all of this so clear. I have much to work on. The sooner that you have something to work on, the sooner that you can successfully work on it. And Day 40 Bear says, thank you for sharing your keen observations. You're welcome. Prince Aspel Archive says, you, Owen, and Dalrock are all great influences for me, you especially when it comes to identifying Gammas. I am one myself, but I like to think I own it. I hope I can only improve from here. You can. Just be ruthlessly honest with yourself. And be relentlessly honest with others. And you will conquer it. So, all right, well, thanks for tuning in tonight. Look forward to seeing you the next time. This is the Darkstream. I'm Vox Day.